20 strangers sit at tables scattered throughout the first floor of a Victorian house. They drink tea and eat cake. Some are laughing, a few wipe away tears. All are intensely engaged in conversation. Welcome to the Death CAF. The concept originated with Swiss sociologist Bernard Kretz several years ago. He wanted to liberate death from what he called its tyrannical secrecy. Now the Death CAF has swept through Europe and North America. It is a way for people to talk about their fear of death, about the will they can't make, about the grandmother they miss, about the child they had to bury. Like the sun, we can't bear to look at death, but it seems we are finally dying to talk about it, and it's just one of the changes affecting modern traditions around funerals and mourning in Western society. Mortuary customs are among the most entrenched in our culture, and they tell us a lot about ourselves. A century ago, death was viewed as inevitable and was much more personal. Families washed and dressed the bodies of their loved ones, the local carpenter often built the simple pine box, and burial took place at the church cemetery. By the 1920s, mortuary customs had begun to shift dramatically. Across Canada and the US, death became outsourced. Now people are beginning to question that shift. One of the reasons for the public pushback is that the growth of the funeral industry has driven up the costs of dying. Today, unlike many parts of the world, Canadians and Americans have fueled a multi-billion-dollar funeral industry where high-priced goods and services range from chemical embalming and fancy caskets, to burial vaults and expensive cremation urns. And as death has become corporatized, it has opened the door to questionable practices, as cases in Beausejour, Lethbridge, and Vancouver indicate. Some of the cases involve fraud charges related to misusing money from prepaid funerals and substituting cheaper caskets for more expensive ones. Consumer advocates advise pre-plan, don't prepay. And read the fine print. When Jenny Morrow of Cape Street, Mary's, N.S., wanted to bury her 89-year-old mother, the funeral home, part of a major chain, told her, "We don't sell funerals, we sell packages." She was told the package would cost $10,000, but Morrow didn't get a rundown of all the items she was paying for. When the bill arrived in the mail a few days later, she says it included $375 for a black box that contained a few items including thank you cards and a coffee mug with her mother's photo glued to it. There was also a $499 charge for an online obituary, $1,800 for professional services that were not itemized, and $199 for a compassion helpline she says she was never given the number for. Morrow eventually negotiated a lower sum, but she advises caution when buying a funeral package. They talk to you in their soft, compassionate voices, but they are dealing with grieving, vulnerable people. The environmental costs of the modern funeral industry are alarming too. In North America, embalming has been sold by an industry that declares it preserves the body and protects public health. Yet the threat to public health idea was dismissed by scientists and health agencies decades ago.